the impossible deployment, the gathering storm. The void at the edge of the Keltar Nebula had never seen such a concentration of military power. 847 warships hung in the darkness like predators circling wounded prey, their hulls gleaming under the light of distant stars. The fleet represented 12 species, united under the banner of the Vryn Confederacy, and it was the largest military force assembled in this sector of the galaxy in over 2 centuries. Fleet Commander Zekthor stood on the bridge of the flagship Eternal Dominion, his 4 eyes scanning the tactical displays with satisfaction. Each holographic projection showed the same conclusion: absolute victory. The contested region known as the Helios Rift lay before them, rich with rare minerals and strategic jump points. For years it had remained neutral territory claimed by no one, open to all. That was about to change. "Commander, all battle groups report ready status," his tactical officer announced, her voice crisp with military precision. "Dreadnought divisions have achieved optimal firing positions. Carrier groups have deployed fighter screens. Our forward scouts detect no significant opposition within 3 light years." Zekthor's mandibles clicked together in what passed for a smile among his species. The Vryn had spent months preparing this campaign, coordinating with their allies, ensuring that every variable had been calculated. The resources of the Helios Rift would fuel their expansion for generations, and there was no force in this region capable of stopping them. "What of the human response?" he asked. Though he already knew the answer would be insignificant. Humanity was a relatively young species on the galactic stage, barely 3 generations since first contact. They had proven adequate in small-scale conflicts, competent traders, reasonable diplomats. But they lacked the industrial base, the population, and the military tradition of the established powers. The intelligence officer's reply made him pause. "Sir, long-range sensors have detected a human vessel approaching our position."
ETA 14 minutes. A vessel?
Zekthor leaned forward. "Specify. How many ships are we tracking?" "1, sir. A single craft. Identification codes mark it as a frigate-class vessel." The officer's confusion was evident in her tone. "Our database classifies it as the HSS Defiant. Displacement approximately 340 meters. Standard configuration. No unusual energy signatures." The bridge fell silent. Then slowly, laughter rippled through the command staff. 1 ship. The humans had sent 1 ship to face an armada of nearly 1,000 warships. It was either the most desperate act of cowardice or the most absurd display of arrogance the Confederacy had ever witnessed. "Perhaps they've come to negotiate their surrender," suggested the weapons officer. His attempted humor met with more laughter. Zekthor allowed himself to join in the mirth, but something nagged at the edge of his consciousness. He had not risen to fleet command by dismissing anomalies. "Pull all intelligence files on recent human military engagements," he ordered. "I want to know what we're dealing with." "Sir, with respect, it's 1 frigate against 847 warships," his second-in-command said. "The tactical computer can't even calculate odds that disparate. It registers the scenario as non-viable combat situation." "Then humor me," Zekthor replied, his tone sharp enough to silence any further objections. "We wait for the intelligence briefing before we decide whether to destroy them or simply escort them away from our operational theater." The minutes ticked by as the human vessel drew closer. On the tactical display, it was represented by a single tiny blue icon, dwarfed by the cloud of red markers that represented the Confederacy fleet. It seemed impossible that anyone would pilot a lone ship into such overwhelming opposition, and yet the vessel's course was steady, its speed unchanging, its approach deliberate and without hesitation. First contact with the HSS Defiant. The human frigate dropped out of faster-than-light travel exactly 14 minutes after first detection, emerging from a shimmer of distorted space with mathematical precision. The HSS Defiant was, as reported, unremarkable in appearance. Its hull was a utilitarian gray, marked with identification codes and the emblem of Earth's United Fleet. 340 meters from bow to stern, it possessed the standard configuration of a mid-range military vessel. A central hull, 2 engine nacelles, visible point defense turrets, and what appeared to be missile tubes along the flanks. Nothing about it suggested it was anything more than a standard patrol craft. Nothing about it explained why it had come alone. "Incoming hail from the human vessel," the communications officer reported. On screen, Zekthor commanded. The main view screen flickered, and the image of a human woman appeared. She wore a dark blue uniform with insignia that marked her as a ship's captain. Her hair was pulled back in a practical style, and her eyes, those distinctively small human eyes, were calm and steady. She looked directly at Zekthor as if she were addressing an equal, not speaking to the commander of a force that could vaporize her ship in seconds. "I am Captain Sarah Vega, of the United Earthship Defiant," she said, her voice clear and professional. "You have entered the Helios Rift neutral zone with a military force in violation of the Keltar Accords. By the authority granted to Earth Fleet Command and in accordance with galactic law, I am ordering your immediate withdrawal from this region." The bridge of the Eternal Dominion erupted in shocked exclamations. Zekthor raised one claw, demanding silence. He studied the human captain's face, searching for any sign of fear, doubt, or uncertainty. He found none. "Captain Vega," he replied, allowing contempt to color his words. "I am Fleet Commander Zekthor of the Vryn Confederacy. Behind me stand 847 warships representing 12 allied species. You command a single frigate. I suggest you reconsider your position and withdraw while you still have the option to do so intact." Captain Vega's expression didn't change. She didn't blink. She didn't look away. When she spoke again, her tone remained perfectly level, as if she were discussing routine navigational protocols rather than facing down an armada. "Fleet Commander, I have stated Earth's position clearly. You have 6 hours to comply with the withdrawal order. If you have not begun your departure from the neutral zone by that time, we will take appropriate action to enforce compliance." The laughter on the bridge was louder this time, more derisive. Even Zekthor felt the absurdity of the situation threatening to overwhelm his tactical discipline. Appropriate action? What action could one ship possibly take against such overwhelming force? "Captain," he said, struggling to maintain diplomatic composure, "I would hate to see your vessel and crew destroyed over such pointless bravado. The Vryn Confederacy has no quarrel with humanity. Stand down, withdraw, and inform your superiors that the Helios Rift is now under Confederacy protection." For the first time, something shifted in Captain Vega's expression. Not fear, not anger, something that looked almost like pity. "Commander Zekthor," she said quietly, "you have 5 hours and 59 minutes remaining. I suggest you use that time wisely." Defiant out, the screen went dark. The bridge remained silent for 3 full seconds before someone laughed nervously. Then the tactical officer spoke up, his voice uncertain. "Sir, should we destroy them now? They've essentially threatened the entire fleet." Zekthor stared at the blank screen, his tactical mind analyzing every aspect of the brief exchange. The human captain's confidence wasn't the bravado of ignorance. It was something else, something that made his combat instincts whisper warnings. "No," he said slowly, "not yet. Move the fleet to surround their position at maximum weapons range. Full combat readiness. Deploy sensor probes. I want to know everything about that ship. Power output, weapons configuration, shield strength, crew complement, everything." "Sir, you can't seriously think—" "I think," Zekthor interrupted, "that when someone shows no fear in a situation where they should be terrified, there are only 2 possibilities. Either they're insane or they know something we don't. Move to surround them. Now." The orders rippled through the fleet. Like a vast net closing, the Confederacy warships adjusted their positions, creating a sphere of firepower with the tiny human frigate at its center. The Defiant made no attempt to flee. It simply hung in space, its systems running at what appeared to be standard operational levels, waiting. The waiting game 5 hours and 37 minutes remained on the deadline. The Defiant had not moved from its position. It had not powered up additional weapon systems. It had not deployed any visible defensive measures beyond maintaining standard shields. It simply existed in the center of the Confederacy sphere, like a minnow surrounded by sharks, seemingly unaware or unconcerned about its impending doom. Zekthor was beginning to suspect it was very much the latter. "Sir, several battle group commanders are requesting permission to conduct probing attacks," his second-in-command reported. "They want to test the human vessel's defensive capabilities before the deadline expires." It was a reasonable tactical suggestion. Better to understand what they were facing than to wait in uncertainty. Zekthor considered the human captain's face on the view screen, that unsettling calm in her eyes. On the holographic display, a cluster of red dots separated from Battle Group 7's position, streaking toward the blue marker that represented the Defiant. Standard ship killer missiles, each capable of crippling a cruiser-class vessel. 36 missiles, staggered timing, approaching from multiple vectors to overwhelm point defense systems. The first missile crossed into what should have been engagement range. The Defiant's response was so fast that the tactical computer initially registered it as a sensor malfunction. Pinpoint energy beams, impossibly precise, impossibly rapid, reached out and touched each missile in turn. Not destroying them in the conventional sense of overwhelming their shields and detonating their warheads. Instead, each beam seemed to find the exact weak point in each missile's casing. The precise vulnerability in its guidance system, the specific flaw in its power core. 36 missiles died in 2.3 seconds. None had gotten within 5,000 kilometers of the human frigate. The bridge of the Eternal Dominion was silent. Analysis, Zekthor demanded, his voice harder than he intended. The tactical officer's hands moved across his console, reviewing the data multiple times before responding. Sir, the human point defense system demonstrated accuracy exceeding 99.9%. Reaction time was, the computer says impossible. They were engaging missiles before our own sensors registered them as launched. Check the sensors for malfunction. I've run 3 diagnostics, sir. Sensors are functioning normally. The humans simply reacted faster than should be possible. As if they knew where each missile would be before it arrived. Zekthor felt something cold settle into his stomach. Predictive targeting required computing power beyond anything the Confederacy possessed. The algorithms alone would require processing capabilities that... Sir, Battle Group Commander Zelvan is requesting permission to engage with energy weapons. Denied, Zekthor snapped. All units hold position. No further engagement without my direct authorization. But Battle Group Commander Zelvan, it seemed, had other ideas. Perhaps he saw the missile failure as a fluke. Perhaps he felt his honor demanded a more aggressive response. Perhaps he simply didn't believe that one ship could defend against sustained assault. Sir, Battle Group 12 is firing without authorization. On the tactical display, multiple red lines streaked from a cluster of Confederacy destroyers toward the Defiant. Heavy particle beams, the kind that could slice through cruiser armor like paper. 6 simultaneous shots from different angles, carefully coordinated to strike the human vessel from multiple vectors. The beams reached the space around the Defiant and simply stopped. Or rather, they struck something invisible and dispersed, their energy bleeding away into a spherical barrier that shimmered into brief visibility before fading again. Shields holding at 100%, the sensor officer reported, his voice hollow with disbelief. The human vessel hasn't even diverted power from auxiliary systems. Their shields didn't register the impact at all. Zekthor was about to order Battle Group 12's commander arrested when the communications officer spoke up, his voice tight with barely controlled panic. Sir, the human vessel is hailing us again. On screen, Captain Vega appeared once more, and this time there was something different in her expression. Not anger, but something close to disappointment. Like a teacher who had expected better from a promising student. Fleet Commander, she said, your attack has been noted and logged. For the record, Earth Fleet Command will classify this as an unprovoked assault on a vessel operating under lawful authority in neutral space. However, in the interest of avoiding further escalation, we will not return fire at this time. But be advised, your unauthorized weapons discharge has reduced your compliance window. You now have 4 hours and 16 minutes to begin your withdrawal. The screen went dark before Zekthor could respond. His second-in-command leaned close, speaking in a low voice. Sir, with respect, we cannot allow a single human vessel to dictate terms to the entire fleet. The loss of face alone would be nothing compared to the loss of 800 ships if we've miscalculated, Zekthor finished. He straightened, making a decision. Get me Commander Zelvan, and summon the intelligence division. I want their full briefing on human military capabilities. Now. The intelligence briefing. The intelligence officers arrived on the bridge within minutes, carrying data tablets and wearing expressions that suggested they knew their information would not be welcome. Chief Intelligence Officer Mara Kell, a Civen with silver-tinged scales that marked her as a veteran analyst, took position at the central holographic display. Commander Zekthor, she began, her voice measured and professional. You requested information on human military capabilities. The data we have is fragmentary. Humans are relatively secretive about their military assets, and most of our intelligence comes from third-party observations and aftermath analysis, rather than direct engagement records. Show me what you have, Zekthor ordered. The holographic display shifted, showing a star chart with several systems highlighted. 3 months ago, the Battle of Arcturus, a human destroyer, designation HSS Yorktown, engaged a pirate fleet of approximately 40 vessels. Mixed classes, primarily corvettes and frigates, but including 3 light cruisers. Standard tactics would suggest the human vessel should have retreated or been overwhelmed. What happened? The engagement lasted 17 minutes. The human destroyer disabled or destroyed all 40 pirate vessels without sustaining damage. Survivors reported that the human ship seemed to anticipate every maneuver, counter every tactic. They described it as fighting an opponent that could see the future. The bridge crew shifted uncomfortably. Zekthor kept his expression neutral. Continue. 6 weeks ago, the Omega Station incident. Human special forces extracted hostages from a station controlled by the Kreth Syndicate. The station was considered impregnable. Multiple shield layers, automated defense systems, 2,000 armed guards. The humans infiltrated with a team of 12 operatives, extracted all 47 hostages, and withdrew without casualties. Station security footage shows the human team moving through defensive systems as if they knew exactly where every guard, every sensor, every trap was positioned. Another star system highlighted, the Deneb skirmish. 2 human corvettes responded to a distress call. They arrived to find a colony under attack by 15 hostile vessels. Instead of withdrawing or calling for reinforcements, the corvettes engaged. They used the local asteroid field for cover, employed unconventional tactics, and systematically disabled all 15 attackers in under an hour. Markel paused, her expression grave. Commander, there's a pattern in every human military engagement we've analyzed. They always send exactly what's needed. Never more, never less. A destroyer against 40 pirates, 12 operatives against 2,000 guards, 2 corvettes against 15 attackers, and they always win. What are you suggesting? Zekthor asked, though he was beginning to understand. I'm suggesting, sir, that when humans send 1 frigate against 847 warships, it's not desperation or arrogance. Based on historical patterns, it means they calculated that 1 frigate is exactly what's required. The silence on the bridge was absolute. The tactical officer broke it, his voice uncertain. But how? No ship, however advanced, can stand against such overwhelming numbers. The mathematics alone. Mathematics assumes conventional capabilities, Markel interrupted. What if human technology has exceeded our models? What if their computing power, their defensive systems, their weapons accuracy have reached levels we haven't accounted for? Zekthor thought of the missiles destroyed in 2.3 seconds. The particle beams that never touched the hull. The calm certainty in Captain Vega's eyes. There's more, Markel continued. We've intercepted fragments of human military communications. Not detailed tactical data, but context. Humans refer to their vessels in categories we don't fully understand. Frigates, destroyers, cruisers, carriers, dreadnoughts, battleships. Though Defiant is classified as a frigate, apparently, one of their lighter combat vessels. Lighter? Someone whispered. Our analysis suggests that human military doctrine operates on a principle they call proportional response. They deploy the minimum force necessary to achieve objectives. Not to demonstrate superiority, not to intimidate, simply to be efficient. Zekthor stared at the tactical display, at the tiny blue marker surrounded by hundreds of red ones. An uncomfortable realization was settling over him like a cold shroud. If a frigate is their response to our entire fleet, he said slowly, what would they send against a more serious threat? Markel met his eyes. I don't think we want to find out, sir. The chronometer continued its countdown. 3 hours and 42 minutes remained.